there's power in taking a photograph. There's power in being an artist.
It's the Phoenix Film Revival Podcast.
We're back again for another episode of the Phoenix Film Revival Podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Iannicone, and I have with us Stacy.
Hi.
She is our other host.
Yep.
Hostess with the mostess. And we have our very special guest and great friend,
David. Hi.
Dave Venezia.
Hello, David.
Hey. How y'all doing?
In person here, the last time you were on was episode in the first 10.
episode
1 or 2
2,
or 3. Yeah.
long time ago.
Like top 5 for sure.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
yeah.
And that was via computer just with Dan.
I know.
And this one's in person. He came to Phoenix
Just for this podcast.
just for the podcast. That's the only thing you came down here for.
It was,
Drove all the way from Utah.
It's pretty nice of you to do that.
I mean, frankly, I would. But yeah, down here, visiting some friends and family. And had to make a stop at PFR. So, I mean, man, I've known you both for a number of years now. I mean, pre-pandemic, for sure. I mean, and yeah, very happy to be on. I've got some pretty cool updates since the last time we were here. Yeah, so happy to be talking to both of y'all.
awesome. Yeah, you're at home base, as we refer to it.
Yes.
PFR home base.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which we have had a couple podcasts in the lab. We'll probably get back to that at some point.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, we had one under all the red lights, which was kind of cool.
Oh, that's fun. Was it like the Halloween episode?
No,
or-
surprisingly, our
No?
house, if anyone's been in our home, our house is actually set up very nicely for Halloween. Doesn't
is.
take a whole lot to make it spooky in here. But the lab, the lab is, what was it, Dave? One of the Daves. We have many Daves. You're one of our many
Dave
Daves.
Dupree at
Dave
the lab.
Dupree, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which we often say our friend Dave on the podcast, and then we have to clarify which Dave.
There's
Right.
Dave Tabor.
There's Dave Tabor.
Dupree,
Yes,
David
we've had
Evans.
3 Davids so far, so
Mm-hmm.
probably more to come. There's a lot of Davids.
Well, I'm certainly the one with the biggest camera. We'll
There you
say.
go. That's no
Yeah.
joke.
no
That's
joke.
true. We tell everybody that when we have workshops. We're like, you can have a tiny camera or you can have a big camera like our friend Dave.
Giant
Yes.
camera.
So the camera in question that I'm referring to is so I've got a 20 by 24 inch ultra large format camera.
Which is a mega camera. What's the largest they go up to? I mean, I'm sure there's been
Well-
some novelty style, but what was the largest production one? Do you know?
Largest production camera, I'd say probably the 20 by 24, at least that I know offhand. The most common one is like the Polaroid 20 by 24.
Yeah.
So, I mean, beyond that, I mean, the largest camera ever or the largest photo taken ever was, I think, in an airplane hangar.
Yeah, I've heard that.
yeah,
That was
yeah.
pinhole, right?
I mean, it essentially, yeah. So nowhere near that big, but still 20 by 24 inches.
This is ginormous.
It's huge. So if you've ever seen a Polaroid 20 by 24, and I do encourage anyone listening to just, go Google it and learn a little bit more about the history. But it's a beautifully designed camera. Just a gorgeous piece of machinery. Back in the 70s, Polaroid wanted to show their new film or new something new that they made. And so they came out with their 20 by 24 camera to essentially demonstrate that new process. They loaned it out to a lot of other photographers, artists, creatives like Andy Warhol, Chuck Close. I mean, even the first official presidential portrait was taken on the Polaroid 20 by 24. So the first portrait to actually be used that's hanging in the portrait gallery and stuff. And that was taken of Jimmy Carter by Ansel Adams.
That's crazy.
I didn't know that one.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I didn't know Ansel touched anything Polaroid.
I mean, this was a very
specific. I've seen the pictures from it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Don't think Polaroid of Polaroid today, because a lot of people that use Polaroid
it's very
today.
different. It's very different.
Very, very, very different quality.
Yeah,
completely different.
what I would, or what's the closest to it? If you've ever seen like the Fuji peel apart film,
Yeah.
that's essentially how like the Polaroid 20x24 would work. And unfortunately, so back in about 2008, when Polaroid went bankrupt, all of the machines to make the film, to make the pods, to make the special paper, and all that other stuff, unfortunately got destroyed.
What a mistake! Why? Like they didn't think like maybe, just maybe.
I don't
Let's
know.
just put this away.
Some sick person out there is like, we're going to
seriously,
destroy it all.
Yeah.
I mean, they destroyed so many buildings of
so
equipment.
crazy.
And, thank God the Impossible Project was able to save them.
Yep.
And I mean, look at what they've become. They are now Polaroid. It's not just the Impossible Project. They are now Polaroid.
Where's Polaroid based out of? I don't even know.
Germany, Austria, somewhere. I think.
Somewhere in
Don't
there.
quote me on
Yeah.
that, but yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's made in Europe.
Poland?
And,
Yeah, I've never looked it up.
Maybe it's
Poland.
Oh, I don't know. I mean,
No,
it might
because
be.
it was-
Dan. It might
Polaroid
be.
came from?
Wasn't after the name Polaroid? Like, wasn't there a name involved?
I mean, Edwin land camera.
The land camera,
Yeah, but
yeah.
not, yeah. I don't actually know that. I should look that up.
I'm curious. I have no clue.
Yeah.
Land sounds English.
But anyway, so.
Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's actually where
There
it was
we go.
invented. So, yeah.
There we
Oh, but
go.
not where it's made today. Their factory today
Factory,
is
like,
somewhere.
where are
I
they
believe
at?
it's somewhere in Europe.
Yeah, probably.
But so the Polaroid 20x24, I mean, by and large, functioned like a normal Polaroid camera. I mean, you take the picture, and 5 minutes later, you get to see it comes out of the processor, and you're good to go, and you get to do that beautiful peel that looks so satisfying in some of the videos that I've seen of the process. But unfortunately, so there's these half a dozen cameras that are sitting idle, and no one can use them. Over the last probably decade or so, whatever stock was remaining has dwindled. There were some folks in New York, there were some folks in Austria, who I actually tried to connect with the 20x24 studio in Austria, because when I was there last September, our hotel was like a kilometer from them. But I DM'd them, I sent them an email, and nothing, so it's fine.
Please.
I mean, and they're not open to the public, so
Yeah.
I wasn't just gonna pop in. But so Polaroid 20x24, pretty much dead, gone. If you're
such a
some
bummer.
billionaire out there, okay, maybe you can find something to make it work.
There's some dude out there right
Yeah.
now that has a freezer full of it.
I know.
Just sitting there. Won't be found till he's dead and his kids go through his shit.
I know.
Clouds are
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe. There might be
yeah.
some keeping under perfect conditions.
Yep.
Just waiting. That's how a lot of this stuff comes up. You find these estate sales and people selling their father's things, their grandfather's things. And you're
Yeah.
like, whoa, they weren't using any of this, and it's brand new.
Yep.
So I
yep.
guarantee that film's still sitting out there somewhere waiting. That's why you got to
Somewhere.
keep an eye on it.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
So, Polaroid 20x24 by and large is a dead process, unfortunately. You can put the camera in a museum, something like that, unfortunately, Polaroid 20x24 not coming back. Which brings me to my camera. And you're wondering, how are you taking 20x24 instant color photos today? Because that's what I do. So the process is called, it's an RA4 reversal. So, I am using this camera to shoot directly onto RA4 color paper, which is typically used for darkroom printing. So if you're printing from a C41 color negative, that's what this paper is designed for. Also, it can go through a light jet or lambda printer, and you can make digital prints from it. It's pretty common. But there's actually a really interesting property about this paper is if you shoot it directly in camera, filter it for the right kind of color in there, because the paper is meant to receive that orange mask C41 negative. So you actually have to correct for that if you're shooting a real subject through a camera. So there's a particular filter stack that I use to filter the light coming into the camera. And anyway, so take a picture directly onto the paper. You process it as a black and white negative with just traditional black and white paper chemistry. Developer, stop bath. And you actually turn the lights back on in the room. And what happens there is you have now developed your black and white negative, and turn the lights back on. And you're actually using that black and white negative to create, it's essentially masking and creating another image with all of the color dye couplers that haven't been activated by the black and white developer. There's none of that sciencey stuff happening in there for the color. So turn the lights back on, throw it in the RA4 color developer, and you actually get to watch the image flip from a black and white negative to a color positive right in front of your own eyes. It is so cool.
Kind of like a tintype, but in color.
Kind of like a tintype, but in color. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of great. And I feel like it wasn't until kind of recent, and maybe I just missed it, that I saw people doing this.
Yeah, you're right. It is a pretty well documented process, but there's not that many folks doing it. I mean, there's a lot of finickiness to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something you can just slap this paper and a camera and start shooting. I mean, it's taken me probably about 18 months to get from when I got this camera and took my first picture to where, like, 2 weeks ago, I think I took my first photo where I was like truly happy with translating the artistic vision behind what I wanted to an actual image.
Yeah, and you can sort of watch your journey there on Instagram and kind of see like where you started, and like you could see you were tweaking it as you went.
Oh yeah.
And you could absolutely see the little tweaks that were happening. Like, oh, look, it got brighter. Oh, the color got a little different. Like you could absolutely follow that around.
Yep.
Yeah, the part of it that I find like super weird and fascinating, and I'm having a hard time putting my brain around it, is how it's developed in black and white.
Yeah.
And still makes the color.
Yeah.
Well, you still get the color chemistry. You still have to run it through color chemistry.
I know, but you still like.
Well, so basically, how it works, and this is my understanding. So I could be wrong on the science level, just a smidge, but basically, you shoot the image directly in the camera. You've got the latent image on the paper.
Yeah.
So you then in pitch black, you develop it as a black and white negative.
Yeah.
Developer stop bath, and so once you've only
you develop and stop. I don't remember. We only did this once in the lab, so I'm not remembering 100%. Do you see the image after you develop it or no?
You do. You do
see
so,
it. Okay, I couldn't remember if we saw that or not, but it's not color at that point.
It's not color. No, so it actually, when you turn the lights back on after the stop bath, it's actually a black and white negative that you're looking at.
Yeah.
And, my understanding of this is, so you have your black and white negative that has been, affected by the developer, all the silver, has done its thing. But none of the color dye couplers in the paper have been activated by those agents that are in the RA4 chemistry.
Yeah.
And so, when you develop it as a black and white negative, there's still a lot of silvers and other things that, haven't been activated or, developed yet. And when you turn the lights on, you essentially are taking another photo, because you've basically just made a mask, a black and white negative mask over all of the other untouched dye couplers and color aspect in there.
So does having your light coming on for a certain amount of time affect that?
There probably is a minimum amount of time, but 30 seconds it would be totally sufficient in like a 60 watt kind of like normal light bulb.
Yeah.
That's where the reversal's actually happening there. So it's almost like, is it almost like solarizing in a kind of an opposite way?
No, it's not.
I'd love to see the science on this, because it's like my brain has such a hard time like grasping quite what it's doing right there at that beginning piece. I get the color part when you get it there, but like
I think
it's kind of amazing.
I think if you think about it, it's more than that, I think, because you have each layer. I guess what's weird is that it's you have the black and white chemistry that normally that paper wasn't designed to be run through black and white chemistry.
No.
Like you wouldn't think it
wasn't.
would. You wouldn't think it would do anything to the paper. That's where I guess it gets confusing, because it's like it does.
It does. The silver halides,
but you wouldn't think it
are affected, and the chemistry that's in black and white paper chemistry is going to still affect the silvers.
It affects it, but it affects it in a way different way.
It doesn't touch any of the like the black and white developer doesn't have any of the things that essentially affect like the color
Yeah.
layers
The
and
coupling
paper.
properties.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
It's only affecting that silver that's in there.
Correct. Greg, you're
Yeah.
basically your highlight shadows. You know, you're getting your tonality from that black and white
Yeah.
Because that's
exposure.
That's essentially the way slide film is developed. You basically
pretty
have-
much actually.
you have
Yes,
two
yes,
developers.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've got a first developer, which with slide it develops as a black and white negative,
Yep.
and then you have your reversal, which is either
Okay.
depending on the process is either done with like a re-exposure to light, or there's slide film can be like a chemical reversal.
Yeah, where it
And
would
then
be
there's a
with slide.
second. Then there's the
That's a
color
much
developer.
easier way to like
Yeah. So
put
yeah,
your-
basically
to wrap your mind around it is
Mhm.
thinking of it like slide. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's fascinating though. It's like
it's really cool.
Yeah.
And as you know, bringing it back to the Polaroid camera, you know, it's the only way currently to get an instant color
Mhm.
photo this big.
yeah.
There's just no other way to do it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, it's really
Insane.
cool. We were
Yeah.
trying it briefly.
that and clean as clean as what you've been getting with.
You've been
yours.
getting super clean. Yeah. You got a nice
It's-
lens on that thing. You can tell.
I do.
You
I
can tell.
do.
It shows.
Oh, I do. I've got a 610 millimeter f6 Aero Ektar.
Okay.
lens.
Okay.
Yep, World War II aerial surveillance.
Meaty.
So, I mean, also what's kind of funny, along with this lens, I actually got a German World War II aerial surveillance lens. Well, our lens was a lot bigger. So we won the war. Our lens was bigger than the German lens.
Our lens goes to 11.
Yes. No.
Yeah, that lens makes a good difference on there.
It does. It's super sharp, wide open.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a beautiful, dreamy lens, and it covers 20
Yeah.
by 24. There really
Yeah.
aren't that many lenses out there that cover that format
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, that's hard. We have an aerial lens at the lab,
Mm-hmm.
and we've been like, we got to use that for something.
Well, that one's a production lens.
Yeah, but
which
still,
is a little different.
it can be used that way though.
But that's
like a
supposed to be-
copy lens.
Yeah, but it's like
mhm.
it's a 14-inch Allen lens.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know what
Okay.
I don't know enough about the math, but I just know it's a big freaking lens. And
Yeah.
I set it up in a garage once and put like a light on a stand
Oh,
and was
nice.
like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
illuminating
Yep.
something. And it was like dark in the garage, and I was like, well, how big can I get this to like shine on the wall?
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh man, I could go really big with this thing.
Yeah.
So-
I could probably go like this lens would probably cover like a 24 by 30 if I really wanted to, but I mean, my camera's 20 by 24.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. What's the distance between the lens and the person?
At my maximum bellows extension,
Yeah.
38 and a half inches, I believe
Okay.
is what it is. Yeah.
Sounds about right.
The depth of field is very narrow on there.
Yeah.
So I've been really trying to, like I said, really trying to eliminate a lot of variables, trying to like refine my process, like bring a little bit of math and science into the art, but not too much. You can really get too focused on, I mean, it's like the camera doesn't matter. I mean,
Yeah.
in this case, the camera does very much matter, but more like I want to get the technical aspect to where I can control the whole process.
Yeah.
And then I want to let the art kind of not make itself, but okay, I've got all the technical side down. I know how to use the camera. I know how to use the lights. I know how to do all the things.
Yeah.
Now what can I create with it?
Yeah,
And I think
yeah.
that's the point where I'm at now.
Yeah. Get all that stuff taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
The so the filtering, are you trying to mask the C41
Yeah,
orange filter? Like, so you're basically making the same
pretty much.
filter.
Pretty much.
Okay.
I mean, there are variations to it. Depends on if you're shooting, like the particular strobes that I use have a color temperature. Different strobes might have a different color
Oh, yeah.
temperature. If you're doing it in daylight,
That would affect it. Yeah, absolutely.
Could totally affect it.
Yeah.
So like my filter stack is for my particular setup. But essentially, yes. So if you actually looked at this paper before you developed it, the paper's blue.
Yeah.
So essentially the opposite of like
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
C41 orange
Yeah.
mask.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, you've got to correct for that. And when I have forgotten to correct for that, you get a very overexposed blue image. So
Yeah.
If you want to do something Smurfy.
I wonder if
Yeah.
you could like wash that off and then.
you actually can.
Because
You actually can.
If I recall, I remember seeing somebody saying they wash it off first.
You can pre-wash. That actually does give you a speed boost as well.
Do you still
a
use
little
the
bit.
filtering, or just use the filtering different if you take it off?
Less filtration,
Okay.
but so I mean, I've got to filter it regardless, and
Yeah.
also trying to because so also to remember this RA4 paper is color paper, it's black and white paper. You can use the red safe light.
Yep.
Color paper, pure darkness.
Yeah, nothing.
So trying to wash and dry and you know all that that paper it's just not worth the
And
I
this-
mean
this is in a giant holder, I'm assuming.
yes
Mega
so
holder. Did that come with the camera?
it did not come with the
Get
camera.
to find one.
It did not come with the camera. I'll get to the holder in a second, but talking about the camera. So I actually got this a couple hundred miles north of me in Salt Lake City, in Idaho. A friend of mine actually sent me the listing on Facebook Marketplace of all places. I bought a 20 by 24 off Facebook Marketplace.
Nice.
Wild. It was at an old print shop in Pocatello, Idaho. And guy was retiring and was trying to give it to a couple museums, and no one really wanted it because I mean it was like built into this room. Like this camera, so camera's from 1919. I don't exactly know who made it. There's a couple labels and like plaques on it, but they're kind of all different. So I don't really, I mean, like a master woodworker made it. I mean, the camera's beautiful. It's like cherry or oak, or I mean, the wood is gorgeous, which also means the camera weighs like 300 pounds. Like it is ridiculous. The camera is stationary and I move everything else around it. I'll be working on getting it mobile. Eventually I do want to take it places, and
Build it right into like a truck. Just get like
pretty
a
much
refurb
trailer
truck, and
I
that becomes the studio.
I know. Well, shout out to actually there's a photographer, Brendan Barry in the UK, who's pretty much done the same thing. He turned a trailer into a camera, has turned, I mean, gigantic rooms into cameras. And he does a similar RA4 reversal process. But he mainly does still lifes, and oh my gosh, they're gorgeous. So definitely shout out to Brendan. He's a really good photographer. But yeah, so camera, it was made in 1919. It was originally used for like copy work. So it was like a printing press, to make plates for that, doing like lithographic photography to, use for like using the printing press, and like that. Camera had been sat stationary since about the 70s. The guy that I bought it from had actually used it back in the day. But since they had gotten a more modern quote camera, I guess, for making like the lithographic sheets and stuff for all their printing work. So it just sat stationary. But yeah, it was literally like built into a room. My friend who found the ad, we drove up, we took a trailer, drove up, and we spent about half the day disassembling the camera, taking it off of the rig, like literally taking it, the ass end of it was built into a darkroom.
Oh yeah.
So we had to basically cut it out. So got it home, and then started this whole journey. A lot of specialized equipment needed. So like you mentioned, the film holder. So nobody makes these. Like you can't just go on Amazon and like buy one of these. So there's Chamonix in China, who does make a 20 by 24 film holder. And then there have been a couple people in the US who have made them over the last couple decades. One of them is Richard Ritter. He's a like master woodworker. I think he's in Vermont, if I recall. Essentially, imagine a 4x5 or 8x10 film holder, if you've ever seen one. It's just that by 20 by 24, but it's double-sided. So I can load 2 frames in the dark and take 2 pictures back to back without having to reload. That was something I was working on initially. Was I didn't have a film holder, so I pretty much taped the paper to the inside of the camera after turning off all the lights. So that meant the model had to sit still for like I mean,
Too long.
way too long. And you had little tape markings on the edge because, again, anytime the paper's out, it's got to be pitch black.
Yeah.
So having this holder, being able to load it in the dark room, bring it out into the light, bring it out, anywhere, if I wanted to, is a huge benefit and was absolutely worth the money.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
The pain in the ass that would have been without it.
Oh my gosh.
Lord.
Impossible.
Yeah.
And people have made them, there's a handful of other folks shooting 20 by 24 who've done DIY cameras or other things like that. I've got pretty good woodworking skills, but not that precise. We're talking like tenths of a millimeter,
it's
like
very
precision.
specific when you that was putting the paper in just the right way.
Very specific. Yeah.
I can't imagine making one of those.
So my question on the holder, with the size of the paper being like humongous,
yes.
Do you have issues with it bowing inside the holder?
No, I haven't noticed that. No, I'd say no issues.
That's interesting.
It's
I'm sure that has to do with part of the engineering on the sheets.
I'd say maybe the paper's actually pretty, like, it's both very easy to crease, but it's also pretty rigid in that manner. So no, good question, but I haven't actually had any problems with that.
That's good.
So yeah,
because I know that the production camera that we almost got kind of the same camera when we ended up getting the lenses from a place up the street called Aerial Mapping Co.
Oh yeah, I've seen some of those 10 by 10 inch aerial
freaking amazing
slides. Yeah, those are cool. Those are cool.
Like, they ended up having, I was like, how do you guys like keep the film from like bending and curling and having issues? And they used a vacuum to hold it.
Oh, so what's interesting? So that was how this camera was originally used. There was actually a vacuum back on it. So
okay,
nice.
That would make sense.
Yep. Yep.
Have you used film in it?
I have not.
No.
Not yet.
Black and white paper?
I have done some black and white. Yes. So when I first got the camera, a few years prior, actually, I had been given a absolute ton of very old darkroom photo paper. And if you've ever heard of solarization, it's one of those fun alternative processes.
That's right, you were doing that.
Solarization's fun. Yeah, I remember when you were doing solarization. It's like you were getting really good at it too, because it's hard to like.
Oh, there's you
got to be so precise with how much light. Like you have to be like. It's not just like the time of light. It's like where the light is. And like, anytime I do solarization, I'm like, it feels so like scary that when the lights are on, because you're like, it's like, you
gotta act very fast.
Yeah.
But I'd gotten a ton of this old photo paper and the old bromide based papers solarize very well.
Yeah.
And so I was shooting 16 by 20 direct positives on black and white paper and then solarizing them in development to get a positive. I'd like to revisit that, but also I only have a few. This is going to sound like a lot, but I only have a few hundred more sheets of this paper left. And I kind of want to do some solarization, like actual darkroom prints. And try doing that, because I did get really good results. And I mean,
do some lumens.
Lumen
printing. It needs to have really old black and white paper. Works really well, especially that bromide stuff.
Yeah. I want to try. What's the thing? It's like the infectious development. What's that? I'm gonna have to Google that.
I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, it's a very cool process. But anyway,
but I'm always looking for like super old paper for lumen, because lumen with really, really old black and white, you'll get some really cool colors off of it.
Oh, lith print.
Lith print.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, where the blacks like run away and I think the bromide paper is also very well suited for that process. I definitely like to give that a try. I've got some Also, as a tangent, which I do love, but I've got a roll of Kodak HIE, the black and white infrared film that's like pretty sought after. Not as sought after as like Aerochrome, which is the color infrared film, which I do have one roll of that.
That stuff's really expensive.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
I got it. Well, it was part of a trade, but
yeah.
Anyway, we won't talk about that.
I'd be scared to like use it. I'd be like,
I know. Well,
that's the stuff you're like.
Well, I'm gonna treat that as every frame is like an 8x10 slide in terms of like preparation.
Think it out.
Yeah, I've got 36 shots of film that I will never ever get again. So, but anyway, I do have a couple rolls of the black and white infrared, which apparently pairs very well with lith printing.
Okay.
You get just those crazy highlights and that like ethereal look of the infrared with like super deep blacks. So I've seen some examples done, and I haven't shot this particular film yet, but when I do, that's what I want to print with it, and what I want to aim to shoot to end up printing.
Nice.
So
I just realized the community zine, when we did that, someone had some Aerochrome in there.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that too.
Cool.
Yeah. Was it like real? It was real, like real Aerochrome?
Yeah. It looks really good.
Real stuff. And I think
you can see that on our website by the way. It's on, what's the website? I always forget the
fpzine.com.
fpzine.com. If you go on there, you can see all the images, but yeah, there's some Aerochrome on there. So if you ever want to like look at the precious you can't have, it's on there. You'll see it. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a guy in New York that submitted.
Yeah,
I was like, when he submitted, I was like, what?
Yeah.
What is this?
I have wanted to give do infrared trichromes. Have you guys ever heard of that?
Yes.
Yeah. I really want to give that a shot because I've seen it done before, and I've seen it done really well. And as long as you just really pay attention when you're changing your filters out, you can get really good results. It's just where you have issues with like the registration of the different layers, and then you get kind of funky colors and weird spots.
I think we've had some guests on that have done trichromes. I feel like I'm bad at remembering names. So forgive me to whoever you are. That's
Nate and Lucinda.
Nate and Lucinda for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also
Connor. Connor. That's who I was trying to remember.
Connor did trichromes.
Yes.
But,
Connor does trichromes.
For those who don't know though, so what a trichrome is so you can actually take a color picture using black and white film. It's pretty cool.
Which is how the first color film picture was taken, I believe.
I'm
Technically
pretty sure.
speaking.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Or
self-portrait at that.
Were the autochromes? Was that before with the little potato starch thing? Was that before that, or did that come after?
I think it was before it.
I think autochromes were before that.
Okay.
Talk about film history.
History, getting deep.
I
thought it was the first one was the trichrome guy, and he did the self-portrait stuff. That I forget his name.
I'm pretty sure.
I wish I was better.
I think I've seen what you're referring to. But anyway, trichrome is where you take a photo of whatever on black and white film, and you take 3 or 4 photos. And so you take one with the red filter, one with the blue filter, one with the green filter, develop it, scan it in, bring them into Photoshop, align all the layers, and do some cool magic within Photoshop, and you get a color picture because you have your red channel, your blue channel, green channel. You can also add infrared there as well. So you can use infrared film and then do 4 photos and one with an infrared filter, and you can essentially get the exact same look as Aerochrome by doing that.
Yeah.
And one kind of cool thing, I've seen some people take those little, I'm gonna butcher the name, but it's like that Nishika, or those little where it's the camera that takes the GIFs, it takes like the 4 shots, right in a row. I think it was in Jason Grainy Days, I believe, is where I think I saw this, where he's got one and he put like a red, green, blue, and like infrared filter on.
That's super smart.
One. And so
you just have to
one picture.
You don't have to do all of them.
Yeah,
that's actually really, really smart.
I saw this crazy medium format like stereo camera with like 4 lenses on it or something like that.
Ooh.
I mean, unobtainium. Like,
I would a medium format would be so cool. I love the
Yeah.
stereo views. I have a stereo viewer and I've made my own with that but just the two.
Because you're a
But
nerd.
and I mean,
but medium
why
format.
am I am here because I am a nerd. So.
We are all
All are nerds.
We're all nerds
Yes,
here. But no,
yes.
I get like super excited about like the stereo view, any of those. They're just so cool. I like them. Like people usually are making gifts and stuff, but I like the old fashioned, like I have the viewer. And I have a couple of the viewers and made the actual cards.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I made my own cards and I was like, I got to do that again way more. And I was thinking like the 4 would be fun too, but I'm like, that's a lot. I don't know how I could do that in person type of stuff. I'd like to do like a show at some point. But I just need more of the viewers.
Yeah.
I want the old viewers. I don't want like the new ones because you can buy the new ones, but the old viewers is
really?
kind of where to go.
That's fun.
They're expensive though. You got to like wait around until you get like a cheap one. So
Boo.
I'm only into 2. I think I need more than that for a show. Someday.
Yeah. I know. Expense, money.
Everything in this. So we always say like, this is just one of those things, which I think most hobbies, or passions come at a cost.
They do.
Unfortunately, we have one that's a little heavier than others. The digital people, they still have expensive cameras, but they don't have all this after stuff minus like some software really. And maybe if they print, a good printer will still cost you some money. It's just unfortunate with analog photography. It's like we can get the cameras cheap a lot of the time, but like everything else is like just adding on. God knows where we're going to go with like
a lot of consumables.
the tariffs, the possible tariffs.
Oh
Who knows where that's
I know.
going to what's going to happen there. I mean, they already announced with Ilford. Costs were gonna
price
go up.
increase. Yep.
Yeah, they already said it. So that means everybody's going to go up the same amount.
Exactly.
It's just going to, even if there wasn't the whole tariff thing, it's just
I
like,
know.
hey.
and one kind of unfortunate thing about that is, so like what, a month ago or something, 2 months ago, Lucky, the Chinese film manufacturer, announced that they were, bringing back color C41 film. And I mean, that's amazing. But now, you have all this stuff going on out there that
tariffs
might make that a little bit more expensive. So
what if they sell it to another country that then sells it to us?
Good idea.
Can they do that?
I don't know.
Tariff.
They can just sell it directly to me.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I think they tariffed everybody though. Even the Penguins got tariffs. So
the Penguins did.
There's like nobody
Penguins.
there's nobody to go through.
I know.
It's everybody. Everybody's equally getting them all.
Penguins need to find a good lawyer.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I mean, all of this stuff I think
know.
everybody that's in this has sort of come to terms with that. But also it matches up because most people that are in this, generally speaking, the people at least that we know that are passionate about it, they're really thinking about what they're doing.
Yes.
They're not
Yes.
They're not just like a digital or a phone where you pick up the phone, you're like,
right.
They're not doing that. So the intention's there and it makes you slow down, which means you're not being as wasteful with what you are doing.
Yeah.
So
it does.
There's some conservation there that's happening with but it's, it's expensive, but at the same time it's measured expense because you're, taking your time with it.
I would say like, it's film photography. Like it the cost, I think for me, definitely is there. I mean, I am, thankful that I have a day job that allows me to do this. I started taking pictures in 2005. I took a high school photo class in darkroom or, a high school darkroom photo class and got hooked. Always been into art. Was never really good at it. But I found photography in like 9th grade and was like, oh, wow, I can actually make that connection. Like I'm actually good at this and I like it and it's fun. And I mean, it's, it's gone from that to, well, I have a 20 by 24 camera that weighs 300 pounds that requires, 10,000 watt seconds of light, that requires, this specialized lens, this specialized holder, all these. I mean,
where does it end?
I mean, it kind of doesn't. I mean, well, and that's kind of what's cool is this is almost like I get to like bring back this sort of dead format.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the same as a Polaroid 20 by 24 because one important thing to talk about. So like Polaroid film is, the film that they had was, I don't know the exact ISO, but like they had film that was like 640 like ISO. So a lot of the photographers who, shot with this, like you could use relatively normal like studio lighting or very powerful studio lighting, but you could, stop the lens down. You could, do some more, I wouldn't say more creative things, but you had a little bit more flexibility in terms of like actually working with the camera and being able to work with like different aspects of lighting, just because, okay, so you've got an ISO that's, like 640 or even 100, and so yeah, you can do a lot of cool stuff with that. So this process, so the RA4 paper itself, maybe like 12 to 16 ISO, depending on who you ask. Well, then I've got to filter the light coming in. I've got 3 filters that I use. There's maybe another stop and a half, something like that. Well, then if you want to do anything close up, so like with this camera, I can go as much as 1.3 life size. So I'm actually taking a macro photo at 20 by 24. So your bellows extension, so you lose more light there. So your effective ISO in this process is like similar to a tintype, like 1, 2, 3. I mean, somewhere around there. I've done the math, but then the math's a little fuzzy sometimes. But
reciprocity failure.
Yeah. Doesn't even matter at that point.
No, but it's so this with this process, I need so much light. And that's why I when I got this lens previously, I was using the lens that came with the camera, which was a like 24-inch like Goer's apochromat or 24-inch like f11, but it was like before aperture was like standardized. So I think it was more like f16 kind of lens. Anyway, I was very limited in what I could do with the camera. So when I got this Aero Ektar, it was f6. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just got like 2 more stops of light that I can work with. And that made it a lot easier. Like when I first started, I was using bare strobes, essentially like just the strobes with reflectors, like blasting onto people's, faces with light. But now I can actually use a beauty dish. I can use a softbox. I can use reflectors. I can actually shape and modify the light in a more pleasing manner, or to essentially translate like that vision of what I want the image to look like into what it actually looks like. And now I'm still learning how to do that. I've done quite a bit of studio work before, but with this process, with the amount of light required, with just kind of some of the finicky nature of it, it's like starting over. Yeah. I kind of felt the same way when I started shooting 4x5 or 8x10. I'm like, oh wow, this is entirely different than 35 millimeter. This is entirely different than medium format. And you kind of have to like reset and kind of learn how do I use the camera? How do I use the movements? How do I load the damn film in the holder without getting fingerprints all over it, so yeah, it's very much like that with the 20 by 24. And just trying to figure out this process, and
challenge, but good rewards. Are you giving, whenever you've been doing a lot of portraits of people, do they take them with them? Or are you keeping them?
Well, if you pay me, you get to keep it.
I get you.
Yeah. But I do, cause like it doesn't make sense for me to just hoard these hundreds of pictures that I've taken. I mean, I have nowhere to put them. I mean, they're massive. I could fill my entire house, every square inch of my wall with these. So I do want to do like a gallery showing at some point. I've been working to scan them in the highest resolution that I can, and at some point I would like those to go back to the people that I've photographed, even the ones who've just been for experimentation or for fun or for the sake of it. Yeah. Make some cool art. I'm definitely going to keep some of them for sure. After I have a show, frame them, mount them, do all that. Yeah. But art is meant to be seen, and I would much rather know that I have 50 pictures in 50 people's houses than I have them in a binder in my basement, then they never get looked at. Yeah. So, that is a little bit of something that I have been kind of going back and forth on of myself, of like, okay, so I want to create art. with this camera for sure. For myself, I have a lot of cool ideas that I want to do. I want to work with other creatives, collaborate, get just very interesting people in front of the camera, and behind the camera. Something I would like to do in the future is figure out a way to bring other photographers in. And just because this process is so, I wouldn't say exclusive, but you literally need a 300-pound giant camera to do it. So I want to bring other photographers in to work or have me help them create their vision with the camera for a cost, of course. So if anybody is ever interested, please do reach out. I do believe I've got the process down to a point where I can get really replicatable results. I know how to shape the light. I know how, all the intricacies of the particular process. It's just about some of those other external details that I kind of still have to work on.
Yeah. Are people reaching out to you to get their photos done? People are seeing a lot more of it.
Some are for sure. I've definitely put the call out for people before. I've had some folks reach out. I've done some shoots, specifically for people that I haven't posted online just because some of those photos just go to the folks who have taken them for. So one kind of cool thing that did happen, some folks who reached out. So out in Los Angeles, there's a really cool camera store called Eagle Rock Camera. It's run by Jason Lee, the actor, also photographer, also skateboarder, also very nice guy. And his business partner, Raymond Molinar, also great guy, skateboarder, photographer, super all around nice folks. Anyway, they've got a 20x24, and that was a pretty cool message to get. They actually invited me out to Los Angeles last summer. They flew me out, and I got to show them the RA4 reversal process because Jason had done some 20x24s, some Polaroid 20x24s on his camera years and years ago. And I guess they saw my work and reached out. And I got to go to LA and show them how that all worked. Got to meet another cool actor and take a portrait of Giovanni.
That's right.
Yeah. So also
his family, right?
Just wonderful folks. It was such a great experience to go out there and just to be able to demonstrate this process to someone else who has a big ass camera.
Oh, for sure.
So that was pretty cool. Other folks have reached out for sure. And I'll definitely be collaborating with folks. Hopefully all across the country and world in the future. But you got to start somewhere. So,
for sure.
So Salt Lake City, just want to corner that market, and then I can.
There you go.
Then I can look to expand.
Well, there's only so many of these cameras, so I think you're okay.
Yeah.
It's like what you're doing is very specific, but then the camera is very specific as well. So to have both of those things all come together is very, very specific.
Yep. Yeah, it is like a niche of a niche of a niche process. Yeah, it's fun. The coolest thing is, so half of the development process for the photos is done in the daylight. You get to watch it. So that's
which people love.
People love.
People love.
I love it. And you get to see yourself either as large as life or even larger than life, depending on the portrait that we're taking. And that's kind of an interesting experience yourself. You're literally staring back at yourself when you're larger than life. You're 1.3 times bigger. It's crazy. It kind of looks like a bobblehead almost. But yeah, it's just kind of, people are like, whoa.
Yeah.
And it's kind of left a couple people breathless for a moment of it certainly did for me. The first color portrait I took was of my wife.
Yeah.
And that was great. And, seeing that seeing that develop in front of my own eyes was like, okay, this is it. Like, this is the process.
Super fun. That's why I think a lot of the tintype guys got really popular because like they can have all this reveal that they get to have. And people
that's great.
Love it.
And
like,
I mean, there's absolutely like a marketing aspect to that. But I don't know, like with this process, it's so big. Like, I don't even talking about it, like you kind of have to be there.
Yeah. The size alone is like, whoa.
We shot and did that in the lab. And ironically, that was a reel that we ended up with like over 1 million views.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
And it was a reel that had, it was like 10 seconds long, 15 seconds long.
It was a terrible reel. Yeah.
It was terrible. No audio.
That's how they always
no
are.
Audio. There was like, it wasn't that great. Like, it didn't turn out that well because we didn't fold it right.
Because like you could see there's something going on. Like it ended up trending and pushing up over 1 million views on that.
Okay. Help me out though. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I need 1 million views on my reels.
Next time,
that stuff always seems to happen very randomly. The people that I know that are like, there's a few people that we know that are like, they know what they're doing.
Yes.
I always mention Silver and Cedar. They're great. They've done an amazing job with marketing, especially at the beginning with like really getting their name out there. And they're a good example of that, where they know they've crafted it and they've made it happen. But by and large, it seems like a lot of people that I've seen that become like, they have this boost. It's totally by accident. And like, you just happen to hit the algorithm just right. And you just sort of luck into it. Yeah.
Yep.
There's
a lot of people like that. And they go from like having no like people to a ton of people just like overnight. And I don't know if you can, sometimes you just can't craft that. I mean, some people obviously can do it and do well with it, but generally speaking, I think you just have to keep putting stuff out there and eventually something will pop.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, you're going to end up with that. That's what's going to happen. You're going to have
something's just going to pop
someone's
off.
Going to
I hope.
You'll have a story, someone will pick it up, they'll post it on Reddit or you know, something like that, and then all of a sudden you've got like a billion people are like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
And then especially to people that, even people that understand what you're doing, it's still got a lot of mystery to it.
It does.
So
it does.
To a person has no idea about anything when it comes to analog photography, it blow their mind when they see it. They're like, what am I looking at? What is happening here? Like, it's confusing,
and
you know?
It's actually one of those things where, you know, so sometimes people are like, oh, like what sort of pictures have you been taking lately? And I'm like, okay, do I have half an hour to explain to them what the hell this thing is? And, you know, it's like, showing it's like, that's kind of the hard thing to translate about this process is like, it's so big and then everything is so just social media focused these days. I'm like, you know, it's like, let's look at the giant 20 by 24 inch picture that's literally larger than life on like a 5-inch phone screen.
Yes.
But
I
mean, but that's
it's good that you have the people that are holding them, and it helps so much.
It gives the scale.
You get the scale of it. And you're like, okay, I get that. I get that.
Yeah, if you're, you know, for anyone who's curious, so I've got all this on my Instagram. It's slc.darkroom is the page, and so that's where I post all my weird camera darkroom fun adventures on there. So what's kind of cool after moving to Salt Lake, just a little bit more background on myself. You know, like I said, I started taking photography in like 2005. Started doing photography in 2005. Have always shot film since the beginning. There were definitely years where I only had like a little point and shoot camera and maybe shot, 5 or 6 rolls of film a year. But then, I mean, honestly, after kind of getting hooked up with Phoenix Film Revival, in what, maybe 2018 or so,
Yeah,
I think, because it was like a couple years before the pandemic.
Yep.
I just sort of fell like back into it. Full steam ahead on film photography. Got my first medium format camera then. A few years later, got a 4x5. A few years later, got an 8x10. Now I've got the 20 by 24.
Is there bigger out there? Is there a bigger one that you're like, man, that'd be cool?
I mean, so anything bigger, and I mean, it just becomes like, I have a good day job and I can afford this. Anything bigger, and like, I need someone backing me basically to do that. Like, I need to find like a billionaire out there who just wants to
go hog with it. Yeah.
Yep. Just like,
Like,
So
what do you think, man? What do you think?
I know, man. Those billionaires, though.
I know they waste their money. They buy like the boring stuff. They're never doing the cool shit.
I mean, if I was a billionaire, yeah,
I'd
have a bigger camera.
Yeah, we would definitely be doing much cooler things in the lab for sure. No joke.
I know.
The lab would look very different.
But sometimes it is those constraints, whether they're financial, location, pick a thing. When you have to work within those constraints, you can do cool stuff.
Yeah, it kind of forces you to like push your creativity a little bit harder.
And that's kind of film. Film is kind of all about constraints of like, oh, you got a digital camera, great. I can make the ISO 50 or 50,000 from one picture to another. Well, film, I mean, you got 36 exposures or medium format, whatever, you got to make that choice and you're kind of stuck with it. And, it's all about those constraints and kind of bring it back to like working a little slower, taking your time, putting more thought into, what you're shooting. I think helps elevate your work a bit more than, say if you just, spray and pray with your digital and, like I've taken amazing photos on, my digital setup. And I mean, I've got like a Canon 5DS, 50 megapixel DSLR that I love. I mean, it's the camera I took to Europe last year because flying with film these days, especially internationally, is just such a pain.
Yeah.
And I was going through London as well. So wasn't even going to mess with it.
Nope.
Nope. Also, I mean, the amount of film that I would have had to bring literally would have been an entire suitcase. So, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, those constraints, I think, help make your art better, in certain ways.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
I find that all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I got to work within this parameter of what I have. That was especially true when I was doing a lot of cyanotype work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And cyanotype is like, there's a lot of ways you can go with that, but at the same time, you're kind of limited. It's blue.
It's kind of like guidelines, like keeps you from
Yeah.
stepping too
Yeah.
far out of bounds.
It's like, and that was always kind of fun when I did cyanotypes because I'm like, how can I push this in a way that maybe I haven't seen before?
Yep.
And it kind of gets you thinking like, okay, well, what can I do with this? It's almost like with that. I mean, whoever came up with, I don't know who first did it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
With
yeah.
the reversal, like that was thinking. They were like, okay,
Right.
I've got this. What can I do with this that I haven't seen before?
Yeah.
And that's how these new processes just sort of pop out and become a thing. Mortensage is the same way.
I was just going to mention that. I was like, that is I mean,
absolutely.
That's a destructive, one of one, unique object that.
Yeah, and somebody was like, it started with film. They basically were doing reversal with it, with film. And then it switched in the 90s. It wasn't even that recent that a guy, very specific, like one guy like started doing Mortensage with paper.
Oh, wait, just like one guy? Like,
it was one guy. And
wow.
like,
well, I mean, it's always one guy.
It's always one guy. Yeah, but it wasn't all that long ago that became a thing.
Oh,
and
wow.
then people started kind of
like the
working on
90s?
it.
Like,
yeah, it wasn't all that long.
Oh.
Yeah, Mortensage, it's very new. Like
Interesting.
it was earlier than that in the film etching reversal process part of it. But for the paper part of it, not so much.
Huh.
And then people just started doing it, but it was like just looking at the tool and looking at like what you had and like, how can I change this? How can I work with this more? What can I do to a silver gelatin print that it hasn't been done before? And like, it's just sort of looking at that. And it's interesting to see when people start pushing what they've got and what you normally think of what it is and what it does, and then doing something different, even like solarization. It's like, that was, and I guess that was a lot of Man Ray. Man Ray at the time pushed that. And he's like, this seems like a mistake to everybody else, but I see an art in this.
Yes.
And he pushed it until it became an art.
Right.
And it's like a lot of stuff with analog is like that, where it's like, it's
or like a happy accident.
Happy accidents.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they become like something that even like the expired film is like one of those things where it's like, back in the day, nobody wanted expired film. Like,
Right.
why would you use that?
All the Fuji
Now-
stuff has like the green cast to it. It's like,
Yeah.
it becomes a trend.
And now people are like, I want to harness that in some way. I want to I can work with that. And so it's always interesting to see how people can kind of push the boundaries with what they have.
Yep.
That's like my favorite. I know a lot of people like to stay like tried and true and like, this has to be exactly how this is.
Portrait 400 and only Portrait 400.
Some people get very wrapped up in that, which is fine.
Totally fine. I mean,
you totally can.
It's a great,
you totally can. But I
it's
love
a great
seeing
film. Yeah.
love seeing that experimenting and like what's next, because it makes me think too, like, fuck, there's some process out there that no one knows about, that it's right there at our tip. Like it's available to us right now, and it's amazing. And we don't know because we haven't quite stumbled into it yet.
Yeah, there's a great, for anybody interested in some of these alternative processes, there is a really great website out there. It's The Unblinking Eye. Just like Google it. And it's like an old school, like text-based like website. It's pretty archaic. But it's got just an amazing treasure trove of information about solarization, about the
Mortensage.
Mortensage. About all these cool like processes, like gum by chromate printing and all that. I mean, crazy sort of dangerous stuff that we all sort of like. But the Unblinking Eye. That's where I learned how to do the solarizations. And a lot of their articles, I mean, go pretty deep into the science of it, which some of that goes a little over my head. But I mean, I'm able to. I'm like, oh yes, some of these are words. Yes.
But it helps you get the gist of like what is happening here.
Yes. But yeah, it's a great resource. So would anyone who's interested in alternative processes, I would recommend checking that out. I would also highly recommend checking out Stacy's work. So because it is, I mean, phenomenal. And I don't know anyone else who's doing this process at all. And if I did, not to this level. So
thank you.
Yeah, I mean, just tonight, actually, we were at, before recording this, we actually got to go see one of Stacy's pieces at a pretty prestigious event.
It was kind of exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. It's kind of fun to have something that people are like, what is that?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of an interesting thing. You're like, what is that? It's dangerous. That's why I like it. For anyone who wanting to give it a go, it is like melt your lungs, like from the inside. It's dangerous. Yeah. And I've definitely thrown that out there. Anytime I've talked about it, I'm like, this is not for at home if you have humans and pets. It's one of those things you have to treat with very respect, because it will. You got to be very careful with it, for sure. No joke.
Yeah.
But that's what makes it fun.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that in this analog world where you can screw up and hurt yourself, and that kind of makes it exciting and more fun to do. It's like, it's a challenge.
Yeah.
Because it's like you do it right and you're like, I didn't kill myself and I did it.
Yeah.
Like, that's amazing.
And I made art.
But that puts a little bit of, with every art, you see a bit of the person in the work.
Oh, for sure. Right. Because we all have our vision and we all have our style and what do you want to photograph? What do I want to photograph? Dan, what do you want to photograph?
Yep.
We all, and I think that's why like photo walks are really fun sometimes. Cause like, okay, like let's all go out and walk around, take the same pictures. No, everyone has their own view on the world, and everyone, this person's going to take it from eye level. This person's going to get on the ground, and this person's going to go climb on top of that building and take a picture.
We see that all the time because we have our shooting on film workshop.
Yep.
We have a photo walk. We take the same walk every damn time.
Right. And it's different pictures every damn time.
Different pictures every time. And on occasion, there's pictures I'm like, where the hell did they take that?
Yes.
I'm like, I've never seen that. And we've taken this loop like how many times? Like so many.
Yeah.
And I know everything on that like loop of 2 blocks. And I'm like, okay. It's very interesting. Everybody comes at it completely different. And then analog too, I think you get like even more so of like that because it's analog. You are physically involved with it. So it's getting even that more of like your fingerprint onto that versus digital where it's a little less, you hand one film cam to another person and or another, a phone, like say you hand one phone to another person. It has a very similar feel to it, but I think analog just sort of changes that in just such a interesting way.
There's just something about the physicality of it that I think definitely draws me to it. You can't really like hold a JPEG, but you can hold a picture,
Yeah, exactly. After the EMP comes, we will be gods.
Right.
Because we'll have all of our photos and be like, look at me with the history.
Yes. But yeah, it's cool. One kind of crappy thing though about film photography, there's no film out there anymore. Like there's like
true.
There's like what? There's like
not a lot.
Black and white notwithstanding, because there are a ton of black and white films. And I would encourage anybody to just go on like B&H, go on the Film Photography Project, go on, wherever you buy your film. Buy a black and white film that you've never shot before, because you'll get some cool results. Maybe they're crappy, maybe they're great, but I think I would say to those folks who like are in their very same lane, like I shoot the same film each time. I'm like, it is that's cool. I mean, it's great to shoot the same stuff, to really know your film, know your whole process, refine that, get the exact results that you want. But I think you do kind of push yourself a little bit when you shoot with something that you've never used before. Or if you've never shot black and white, give it a try.
Yeah.
If you've never shot C41, well, give it a try. You probably have though. If you've never shot slide film, give that a try.
Slide's amazing.
Slide film is the reason I take pictures on film. Black and white's cool. I love printing in the darkroom. It's how I started. But when you shoot C41, when you shoot Portra 400, you shoot HP5 or whatever. What you get back from the lab, okay, you get your scans, great. But the actual film that you get back, you can look at it and it's a negative. Well, because that is the intermediary. That was never the end result.
Yeah.
That was meant to be printed. But with slide film, for those who don't know, you actually end up with a color positive image on the film.
Back in the olden days.
Yeah, ye olde days.
It was very popular.
Like Kodachrome, which unfortunately isn't around anymore.
No. Boo, EPA.
I know.
Why?
Yeah.
Didn't we get rid of the EPA?
Maybe it can come back.
Maybe.
I mean,
one good thing from this presidency.
Hey, let's start thinking. I like this positive thinking.
K14 is like a beast. If for anyone who wants to look it up, it's like like E6. Okay, because there's 6 steps in the process.
Yeah.
K14, there's 14 steps in the process to develop one roll of film.
Yeah.
So anyway,
there's a lot in that.
But slide film, so you actually end up with a color positive image. So when you look at your film, it's an actual, it's just the picture. And that's what I just think is so cool about it. You look at that on a light table, or, hold it up to, the sky or something, or, a white light or whatever. And you get to look at the actual picture that you took, like in full color, positive image, like on the acetate. And it's just you and the picture, like looking at it. It's a very intimate experience, depending on the photograph. Because you're unless you're with somebody else or whatever, it's just you looking at the photo through like a little loop. Or, if you shoot medium format slide film, I mean, it is just, gorgeous.
It really puts you in the moment of where you were. Like you really get that. Yeah. We look at old slides and you feel exactly what it was like to be there. Like it just feels so real to it. Yeah, it has a completely different feel.
It does.
Are you looking at them through slide projector?
Not too much with that. Just most of the slide all of the slide that I've shot in the last probably since 2012 or so, I haven't had mounted.
Yeah.
So to project a slide in like a slide projector, you've got to mount it in like those little those little white things. And it's actually funny. I have like 50,000 of those. Like no, literally. Like I have like a 200-pound box of slide mounts. Nice.
Yeah, we got a bunch of them
use
too.
Them? Yeah,
I used them once. So I did one roll. I had one roll that I did.
But ultimately, I end up, scanning in my film to, digitize, put on my website, share on Instagram and things like that. But I will say the beauty of slide film is looking at it on the light table.
Yeah.
Because like I said just a bit ago, a negative is the intermediary, but a E6 color positive, that is your end result. And once you press the shutter, you're done. There's nothing else to do.
Yeah.
You just get it developed and you get to look at the picture.
You got to get it right.
You do have to get it right. You do have to get it right.
No leeway. Like normally with film, you can go a couple stops either way. Right. Not with slide.
No.
You got to be right on the money.
You do. I will say, so currently on the market, there are 3 slide films available. You've got Kodak Ektachrome 100. which is 100 speed daylight balanced, slide film.
Mhm.
You've got Velvia 50, which is a 50 ISO. Also, they're all daylight balanced. You've got Velvia 50, then Provia 100. That's it though. I long for the days, if you look at an ad from the 90s, right? Like there's like 50 different slide films that were available.
Oh yeah.
Color film, black and white film, there's so many films that just aren't around anymore. And it really sucks. Our options are super limited these days.
Yeah, they are. And a lot of people don't know that because they just weren't around before.
Right.
In the before times.
The before times.
I was around in the before times. And I got to tell you, the 90s, early 90s, like, because I was, I'm 50, almost 50 in a couple months.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to even say that. That sounds terrible. But back in my day, I sound like an old person, but back in my day, you could buy film everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm not kidding. Everywhere.
Because that's how you took a picture.
Yeah, there was no other way to do it. And it was very, very common to have a camera on you. So it was really easy to get film.
Yeah.
And it was available all over the place. Knowing what I know now, I wish I would have just hoarded and put it in a fridge.
Well, that's what I'm doing now.
But I also looked at it differently because back then, film wasn't, at least to me and people I knew, we didn't think of it like an art form because it was film.
Right.
People that were photographers were, you had the artist photographers, but it had nothing to do with the fact that they were shooting film.
Right. That was just the medium.
That was the medium.
Yeah.
That's all they shot.
Yes.
And I often say this about the cameras. You didn't see people walking around with the cameras that you see people walking around with today.
No, my medium format camera is a Zenza Bronica SQAI. And I've got a bunch of lenses for it and stuff. But like, I've got, good chunk of change invested in this, but retail in like 1992 when this camera came out is for just the body is more than I paid for the entire kit. So like these were used by professionals.
Oh yeah.
These were used
super
in
studio. You didn't see the Hasselblads, the Pentax 6M. That wasn't what people were taking photos with. Most people were taking photos with very basic cameras.
Yeah, your
I knew
Pentax
a few people that had like, if you had like the Pentax K1000 and the Canon, A1, that was almost like the nice camera.
It
like
was.
For a lot of people. Like
Yes.
that was like the fancy camera. That was your upper limit with your average Joe that took them.
Because like today you can get one of those for a really nice one for maybe $125 or something like that. But MSRP on those back in the day, is with inflation is equivalent of $1,000 or something like that.
Yeah, they were the kind of the fancy camera.
They were.
But
all the lenses and accessories.
Yeah, a lot of people I knew did the 120 cameras. We had, it was kind of funny. We got this whole batch of cameras that we've been kind of slowly getting from a coworker of Dan, and we've been buying cameras off of them because it's the daughter basically. It's kind of a sad story. The daughter's selling for her father, and her father. I don't know. Has he passed? Do we know?
I don't know.
Or close to passing.
He's got dementia.
Anyway, he had a huge collection of cameras. So we slowly just sort of purchased cameras from him and her. And one of the cameras was this 120 that I used to own as a kid, like when I was younger. And I was like, oh my God, it's my camera. But it was a 120. And that was like my normal, like what I used.
Yeah.
Or not the 110. It was a 110.
Oh, 110.
Yeah, 110,
okay,
not 120. A 110. And it was like super common for me to use that. But now I'm like, 110's garbage.
Right.
Like I have it and I want to use it, but I'm like, I used 110 recently and I was like, there's a reason I'm not shooting 110.
Well, something cool to try. So you can re-spool your own cartridges. It's just like 16 millimeter film that's in there.
Yeah.
So I've wanted to buy.
Do they make refillables for that?
No,
because when I open a 110 camera, I crack it like I'm cracking open. Like I just like manhandle the damn thing open. You can never. Reuse it again the way I open them.
Sure, you 3D print
I
some.
haven't had luck.
Yeah.
But I'd like to give it a try and to load some Ektachrome.
Oh my God, make teeny tinies.
I know. Well, I actually have shot slide film in my Pentax Auto 110.
Yeah.
For a little while, the guys at Lomography put out a slide film in 110.
Nice. Oh, we had a slide projector
We
for a
did,
while.
and
Oh, you
then-
did? Yeah,
we
the tiny
did.
little
I'm
We
one.
had the
pretty sure
one. That's
those are
right.
so
We sold
cute.
that, right? I think we
I'm
sold
pretty
it.
sure we didn't sell. I think we gave it away.
Oh, we gave it
Or
away.
I don't know.
We don't have it. We don't have it anymore. But we did. We had a 110, and it had a whole bunch of teeny tiny slides with
Yeah.
Do we still have it?
it. We might. We have a big pile of stuff at the.
I don't think we have it anymore.
I don't think we do
No,
either.
it's in the storage unit.
Is it?
Oh man.
I think it's in the storage unit.
Oh.
It's like little 110 slides.
I know
They're
I
so
what
little.
before I moved to Salt Lake, you
Did I show you that?
Yeah. You
I was
did.
like,
That was
what are
about when we
these?
bought it, I think, because we found it at like a thrift store, and we're like,
think-
"What is
I
this?"
think I recall one of the slides in
Wow.
there said, "This is the bed that Abraham Lincoln died in," or something like that.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
And I was like,
Huh.
"What?" It was obviously in a museum, but I was like, "Oh, that's kind of cool."
I've got some Minox slides that were taken in the 50s. Actually,
That's
which are pretty
crazy.
Cool. Yeah. So one of the other, I've got so many projects that are going on right now. Scanning my own personal archive, the big camera, all the darkroom printing stuff that I need to get back on and do more of. My continuous, landscape photography, portraiture. Anyway, another cool project that I've been working on is I've been scanning about 5,000 or so slides that my dad, my grandfather, and my great grandfather took from spanning the early 50s to the late 80s. And in that, it's mostly 35 millimeters, but there's a handful of like 126 film, which I'm pretty sure that those were probably taken by either my dad, my uncle, or my two aunts, because my grandfather had like a 35 millimeter SLR, and I'm pretty sure all the kids, maybe they shared one or something. I gotta ask my aunt about that. And see, but anyway, I've been going through and scanning, all these old slides. I've done about 3,500 or so far.
Ugh.
I know.
It's a lot of scan. I hate scanning, and I'm like, oh.
I know.
Seriously.
Just a visceral reaction.
Yeah. Well, in total of everything that I've scanned, including my own work, in my own work and that, it's about 20,000 shots.
That's a
on
lot.
film
You're
that
using
I've
camera
scanned.
scanning though, right?
I am. Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
which is better.
Yeah. DSLR scanning. That's what I use the 5DS for. Get the highest resolution scans possible,
Yeah.
and then using Negative Lab Pro to do any conversion for negative stuff, and then positive. Yeah. But so that's kind of one of the projects that I've been working on, and it's pretty cool to get to see these pictures, and that I know that they were taken by either my dad, my grandfather, or my great grandfather. Which I can kind of figure out based on the year and then like the subject matter and stuff. But especially like the whole reason I wanted to do this project is, I wanted to like digitize them all just for the family. And the slides don't actually belong to me. They belong to my aunt. So once I'm all done, I am going to be giving those back to her. But I wanted to find more photos of my dad. I didn't really have too many. Unfortunately, my dad passed away when I was like 12. So that sucked. Yeah. But I have like a handful of photos from him in the Navy, and like that's kind of it. It's like my parents split up when I was like pretty little, and it's like I've got like film photos of them my mom took of us like when we were little and stuff. I've actually got some pretty fun ones. I've got a whole like 3 rolls of 6x7 negatives of when my brother, my mom, and I went to like a portrait studio when I was like 6 or 7 maybe or something. So like 97, 96, somewhere 98 around there, 6, 7, 8 years old. And God, I'm so awkward in these fucking pictures.
The Olin Mills style.
Oh no, it's like, yeah, they're
Not even
they're
that
probably never
classy.
going to see the day of light. I mean, no, they look great, but like there's some
That should be our cover photo for this podcast.
Yes. Can you send one?
No, they're not scanned yet.
Oh, come on.
No. My mom has like a giant picture print of one like in her living room.
Nice. Is there a double image there where you're looking forward, the other one you're looking slightly to the side, tiny up in the corner?
I've actually wanted to try to recreate that on the big camera.
That would be awesome.
That'd be really great. I kind
I
of
don't
love
know how you'd mask that.
I kind of love those.
Then
Then
mask
the
it.
laser
I don't know.
beams. The laser beams were like very
yeah,
popular there
the
for a while.
backgrounds, yeah.
I'm like, why did we do the laser beam thing?
But it's been pretty cool to get to go see these photos and kind of view them through where my family stood. Like my dad stood in this exact spot, took this exact picture.
Yeah,
like that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And
was he really into photography, like darkroom style, or just took a lot of photos?
Took a lot of photos. I would say I think he did have a darkroom at some point. I might have to ask my mom about that. I know that my grandfather did some darkroom stuff. He taught like wood shop in high school. So I'm sure he has been in a darkroom at some point and doing stuff like that. I don't have any prints or anything, and all the stuff that I have are slides, color positive. They're Kodachrome for like 95% of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just cool to get to look at these pictures and be like, yeah, like my dad took this, or like there's photos of my grandfather and his friends, and I'm sure like people he hired and stuff, but of like building their house that my dad and my uncle and my two aunts like all grew up in, and that I have memories there. Before my dad passed, it was a very like there was no daycare. It was we go to our grandparents and all the cousins just go to hang out. There was no drop the kids off at daycare. It was no, you go to your grandparents' house and they get to watch you, and they're out working or doing whatever. Yeah. That's been really cool. Just kind of get to see that kind of side. I've never seen any of these pictures before, like ever. So
crazy.
Each one is like a whole new story. I am going to sit down once I'm done and once I go back to the East Coast to bring the pictures back. Like I'm going to physically fly them like in a suitcase, like back. Like that's not something I'm going to mail. Like I can't risk that. Actually, that was a promise I made to my aunt.
Yeah. Not to lose them. Yeah.
I have to physically fly these home, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. But unfortunately, my uncle is quite estranged. He did some stupid shit, and no one likes him now.
We all have that
there's
uncle.
always having that uncle.
Yeah.
Every one of us has one of those uncles.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, but I'm gonna sit down with my two aunts, and I want to hit record on on a soundboard like you've got, Dan, and just go through as many pictures as I can. And even at the handful that I've shown them, they're like, oh yeah, this was taken at like the Hollywood Bowl in like 1972. I'm like, oh cool, like great. I'm like, I can kind of infer that, but, and actually what's kind of cool, AI photography, it's like, ugh.
I know. Yeah. It's like, boo.
But I've actually been using ChatGPT to help me figure out the location of some photos that are taken. Like
that's cool.
Using it for good.
Yes. And I gave it like a really hard one first, like a nondescript like building in Japan. Like on a street, there's like one car, and on the building there's like two letters in like Japanese, taken in 1964 by my great grandfather. He did a lot of international travel, I guess. So yeah, I've got a ton of photos from Japan, from all over Europe. They went on tons of cruises as well, in like the late 60s, early 70s. So like pretty cool stuff. But anyway, I fed ChatGPT this pretty nondescript photo of a building in Japan, and asked it a prompt of like, analyze this picture, identify the location, give me a Google Maps pin, all that stuff. I mean, AI is kind of all about the prompt.
Oh yeah, you have to be very specific about what you want it to do. Yeah.
Yeah. And after a few back and forth of, guesses or whatever it's doing, I mean, it figured it out. Like it gave me the address of this building, which is just crazy.
Yeah, which kind of makes sense because it's kind of like science. It's like there's people there's dudes that do that. There's like a group of dudes.
A GeoGuessr.
Yes.
Yeah. I love watching those videos.
Yeah, they're amazing.
It's crazy.
Like it's not a far stretch to think a computer could do that because there's literally people that can do that now, which is insane.
Yeah. But that's
such a good use for it too.
It is. It is
really, really good use.
So many evil ways to use it.
It's so good too because like you think of things like, and not to put a damper, but like every once in a while, like the task forces for like sexual abuse of children and stuff will put out a photo of a room.
Yeah.
And they'd be like,
identify this room.
Anyone know where this is from? What's this from?
That's so sad. Yeah.
And then something like that.
It's a great use for it. Yeah.
Very easily be able to like, ooh, there's a tool we can use. So that's such a good use of AI. It's like you hear all these bad things, but it's nice to hear something positive about it. Like something that really can be useful, especially useful with photography, which is even better.
Supposedly that's what all Pokemon Go was. What? Was like you go walk around.
Training AI.
It's training. I mean, training AI to like.
That kind of makes sense.
Well, I mean, all your captchas, anything they're like, pick the image that's a dog or,
that's
a motorcycle.
For sure. Yeah, that's for sure during training.
Oh,
yeah.
1,000%. Yeah.
That's funny, the Pokemon Go. I did Pokemon Go when it first came out for 1 month, and I didn't even know what Pokemon were.
Oh, right.
And I still don't. I still have no idea. But I was like literally doing Pokemon Go for like a whole month, and I was like, this is amazing. I don't know what, it just sort of died out, but I was like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm just happy to be included. I was in New York at the time, so it was like,
that's like the place to do it.
It was really fun at the time when it came out in New York because like you could see herds of people like running over to like Pokestops and stuff.
I just think it's funny because everybody's like, oh, let's play a game. And it's like, no, we're taking pictures of buildings. And we're feeding the machine.
Yeah.
And you don't know about
it. I mean, what can you do?
Yeah. I mean, it's going to happen whether we like it or not.
I know.
But at least use it for good.
As long as you get a Pikachu or a Charizard or something, I guess.
Is Pokemon a game, technically speaking, as a whole? I mean, or is it a cartoon?
Pokemon is like a cartoon.
It's a cartoon.
That like turned into like a card game. Actually,
no,
it started as a card game.
This is a topic that I am not well versed in.
You know who we need to have on? Dino. Dino knows. Dino's actually a Pokemon guy. Dino would know. So if Dino's listening to this right now, he's probably screaming.
Probably.
He's like, oh my God.
That's why I'm not going to say anything.
I need someone to school me on Pokemon because I legit don't understand a single thing going on.
I believe it's called Pokemans.
It's Pokemans. I had one Pokemon.
Okay. We are off the deep end here.
You're supposed to catch all of them, I guess. Something like that.
I have heard that. You do catch them all, which I'm still not even sure how that is.
Oh, gosh.
It's very confusing.
Anyways.
Yeah. So that's been kind of a cool project to get to look back at and see some, stand where they stood. So
yeah, that's fun. It's a good way to connect to your family.
Cool. Yeah. And with my dad not here, it's
a nice way to kind of see him,
It is.
You don't have now, but you got to see him in the past more and connect with that and
then every now and again there's like a photo of him, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So either like real little and it's like uncanny how similar we look.
I can imagine, yeah.
And or photos of him, in like older, or like high school. Things like that. Yeah. There was this one trip, I think it was 1982. He went to Austria and Austria, France, a couple other countries around there. But there's a couple of really nice photos of him that I was really happy to see. So
very cool.
That was cool. Yeah.
Very, very nice.
But I mean, I think that's what's up with me. I mean, big camera, a lot of projects.
Yeah.
Trying to, I don't know, just make some cool art.
Yeah, which is nice. Yeah, it was so good to kind of catch up with you. It's always fun when people are still going. There's a lot of people that we know that we talk to, and then they don't do film anymore. at all. They just sort of did it for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's over. Or they did a long time. They're done. There's also periods where you go through where you're just like,
Oh, for sure.
And then
Right.
you go to something else and you come back. But
Mhm.
you've been consistently kind of working on your stuff. So we're excited to have you back on. I mean, I'm kind of watching your little journey through Instagram. And
Yep.
we definitely
Yeah.
mention you all the time on the podcast. So it's
Oh,
good to have you on.
I hear it.
I bet you do.
I hear. I'm like, oh, they're talking about me.
Yep. So it's good for the listeners. They're like,
Yes.
this is the Dave we've been referring to.
Hi. Hello.
So they actually can hear you, which is good.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, the big camera, the 20x24, I mean, that's definitely consumed me in terms of photography. I mean, I've done a lot of other stuff, in the last few years. Like I did a big trip to West Virginia last year, which was very fun. Shot maybe 30 rolls of film, mostly medium format, actually all medium format. That was pretty cool. That was a good project. Yeah, I've been doing some more 8x10 work lately as well. I've shot maybe 200 8x10 frames, I would say, since I've started, mostly black and white, but from a very special secret source, I did get a bunch of 8x10 Provia lately.
Nice.
So I just
That's nice.
shot my first 4 sheets of the batch that I got just to test. It was expired, 2009, I believe, but flawless, looks great. So
Kept in a nice fridge.
it was freezer kept, but
Nice.
you never know. Still,
Yeah.
I mean, because the guy you get it from, the guy he got it from, the guy he got it
Yep,
from,
yep.
never know what sort of car it sat in along the way. But thankfully, I mean, pretty big gamble. I mean, 8x10 slide film it's expensive.
Yeah, no
But,
joke.
Yeah. But super secret source comes in quick clutch. So for that, so certainly wasn't retail, I'll say, which was nice. But it's still expensive to do. I mean, yeah, it's a lot.
It adds up.
It does.
All of it adds
but
up.
but yeah, so that's been kind of fun. I mean, just been doing a little bit of everything. Just trying to take pictures, trying to keep busy. But it's been really good to see you guys.
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. I feel like
have
it's
you
been a
on.
while since we've seen you in person.
I know it has too long. So yeah, would love to have you guys up to Salt Lake sometime. So come take some big 20x24s, and then, I mean, for anyone listening, if you're interested in getting your own 20x24 portrait, I mean, please send me a message.
Dave is the guy.
Yep.
I am.
You
for
can't get
this.
it anywhere else.
Pretty much not. Nope.
You can, but you can't.
You can, but you can't. No. So yeah, if anyone is interested in learning more about the 20x24 process or the RA4 reversal process, I mean, please reach out. slc.darkroom is my Instagram. It's the best way to contact me. If you're interested in a portrait, if you're interested in collaborating, if you're interested in getting behind the camera instead of in front of it, I mean, yeah, please reach out. I'm interested in all aspects of this, and I'm very anti-gatekeepy. I do want to share this process, and yay.
It's our favorite thing. We hate. That's a peeve of ours.
I know.
It's
I mean,
natural to some degree, but
it is, and it's not. I mean, if you're just some random person, I'm not going to give away every secret of this, but
gotta put in some effort.
You put in some effort,
for sure.
and people want to. That's very different.
But I mean, if you come to me and you're like, hey, I've got an 8x10 camera, and I want to give this a try, and I want to learn more about it and all this stuff, I'm like, absolutely, can totally be done on a smaller format. You don't need a 20x24 to do these instant color photos. 8x10, even 4x5.
Yep.
Totally possible.
Yep, that's what we were doing. We were trying on.
Oh
4x5.
yeah.
They weren't
And-
great, but we only tried for a day. So
I can give you guys some tips. You're
Sweet.
we need
Yeah.
some tips on mostly the filtering. We're very familiar with the lighting because we use the direct positive
Yes.
with the Harman,
Yep.
which is the black and white, and it has a similar ISO. So we're very familiar with having to blast with the light.
Yeah.
But that
Yeah.
filtering is super important. A little bit on the steps. I think
I think mostly we
we
just need to run through it several more times.
We
so.
do.
I mean,
yeah.
it took
Yeah.
me.
I mean, we got an image, which was awesome. But
Yeah.
at the same
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
the
There's
filtering, I think, was our problem.
there's a lot of factors that go into it. So,
Yep.
and I mean, even with me today, you know, for the first photo of each shoot, I mean, you kind of just like bang out a photo and adjust from there, you know. Oh, okay, gotta move the light here, gotta move the light there, you know, do this, that, the other, you know, tweak this, tweak that. And then usually that second or third photo from every shoot is like, that's the one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah, so good chatting with you guys.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on, Dave.
Thank you.
And well, excited to see where you go with the rest of your 20 by 24 project.
Thank you. Yeah, I know.
Got to get it on the road.
I know.
Start traveling with it.
I know. I mean, goals for sure. Yeah. Get out, tour the country.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That'd be
someday.
Pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
cool.
till next time, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Thank you.